Boy, does this keep getting crazier and crazier. And Jennifer Abel, the publicist for Justin Baldoni that has been named multiple times in the lawsuit that Blake Lively has filed, has now broken her silence allegedly on a private Facebook page. There's a lot to talk about, and you're not going to believe what she said. I'm going to read through the entire thing for you, and then I'm going to give you my opinion, only my opinion. I am not taking either side, but I'm going to give you my opinion on what she had to say. Before I continue, please hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any pop culture news, any of the sorts. It costs you nothing to hit that button, and it means the world to me. When we hit 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours on here, we're going to be doing a huge giveaway that you're not going to want to miss. All right, let's read this, and then I will give you my opinion. Jennifer says, and this apparently was on a private Facebook group. She said, "Hi, I never thought the day would come when I needed to defend myself with my own peers, but this certainly has been an interesting and devastating, quite frankly, couple of days. So here we are, but here are the facts. No, I was never subpoenaed. I found out my private texts and emails were included in the complaint after I received it on Friday night, and the New York Times contacted me 1.5 hours after receipt. They had already reviewed the 80-page document, had questions prepared, and apparently also received thousands of pages of documents with our correspondence that we never saw. So it was clear that this was coordinated effort, but nothing we haven't seen before since I've been working in talent PR for over 15 years now. I had recently left my previous firm, at which I was still with during this campaign, with a team who all participated in the campaign and a boss who oversaw, and who had access to my work emails and work phone, so you can take away from that what you will. What the cherry pick messages don't include, although not shockingly as it doesn't fit the narrative, is that there was no smear implemented. No negative press was ever facilitated, and no combat plan, although we were prepared for it as it's our job to be ready for any scenario, but we didn't have to implement anything because the internet was doing the work for us. Sure, we talked about it, contemplated it if we needed certain things flagged, accounts that we needed to monitor, worked with the social team to help us stay on top of the narratives so we could act quickly if needed, and yes, we rejoiced and joked in the fact that fans were recognizing our clients' heart and work without us having to do anything but keep our heads down and focus on positive interviews for our client. As a tech show, we joked privately to each other about the internet feedback to the woman whose team was making our lives incredibly difficult over the course of the campaign. I'm human, the long hours, months of preparation, and top of my day-to-day scope. It felt good to see that although we were prepared, we didn't have to do anything over the top to protect our client. Incredibly difficult, you say. In what way? Funny you should ask. I was notified that the start of the campaign that was opposing team had been planting horrible stories about my client as a fail-safe if my client did not comply with the demands set forth for the company, which is why we brought the crisis. As it's not something that I do, my sole job was to put together interviews, screening opportunities, and speaking opportunities for my client in support of the film. As standard scope of work, I did my job. Now, what kind of woman would you work against women who was a victim of all the things being claimed? Thanks for asking. After reviewing the evidence, facts, hard proof that countered every single thing that was being claimed and demanded from the start of production, I made a choice to stand by my client of almost 5 years who had dedicated his life to the equal treatment of others, especially women, who had no incidents of negative treatment of others, and who had a wonderful community and team and wayfarer who all held the same moral fortitude and lived their life accordingly. As representatives, we all have to make that choice, so I did that at the best of my ability and felt good about our effort. Is my client perfect? No. In fact, he says that he's not perfect so consistently to the point I tell him he needs to be less self-deprecating because it could be taken the wrong way. As Blake's feelings valid, it's not my position to say or speculate what she's feeling in these moments that she claims, and I would never slam a woman for speaking her truth, but at the end of the day, if it's not the truth and there is evidence that proves otherwise, then as a representative, I have to do what I feel is right as well. First thing I want to point out is that she said she was never subpoenaed, and her private text messages and emails were included in the complaint after I received it on Friday night, that she had no idea that any of her texts or emails were even given to anybody, and she has a feeling, if you look down here, that it had something to do with her boss because they had access to her work emails and her phone. Now, she doesn't say that. She says to do what you will, but that is what we can take from these two things here, which is very interesting because it was said before that these messages and things were subpoenaed and that is how they got them. But this is saying different. Jennifer Abel is also saying that there was thousands of documents that they had, and because of that, and they had all of this collected, that she feels like this is a coordinated effort to put out this lawsuit, and they were planning to do this for a while, allegedly. She also goes into saying that they cherry-picked the messages, that if you saw messages before and after, essentially, that it wouldn't mean quite the same thing, as well as there were hundreds of thousands of messages about the situation, and they chose to pick the ones that were going to look at their story the best. She also says, which this I feel like is the most important part of all of this, is that there was no smear implemented, no negative press was facilitated, and no social combat plan at all. That they had talked about it if it was needed because of the situation that happened at the beginning that we'll get to in a second, but they never implemented any smear campaign whatsoever. That the internet was doing the work for them, and Blake Lively's interviews that she did herself were basically taking care of themselves. Now, they said the reason that they had the smear campaign planned in the first place was because the opposing team had been planting horrible stories about her client as a fail-safe if my client did not comply with the demand set forth for the campaign. Because if you go and look at the lawsuit at the beginning of it, it lists the list of demands that Blake Lively had at the beginning before they even started filming, that she would not do the shoot unless these things were implemented, which showed that she was going to have some issues with the people and Justin Baldoni. This entire thing is also over on my IG story. The link to it, you can go see it over there. Now, I feel like if this is the case, that this would be pretty easy to prove in court. So I guess we'll find out. I'm not taking either side. I'm on a team. I need more information, but let me know what you think in the comments. That is all I have for this video. That is my opinion in the comments. If you were on a side, or if you're like me and I'm on team, I need more information and I want to see the entire thing from both sides, because this is too messy and things are just like teeter-tottering back and forth. Hit the subscribe button, because as soon as we have any updates on this case, as well as cases to come, you will be updated and I will let you know. So hit the subscribe button, and I thank you, and I will see you later. Bye!